Hello, I'm Chris Rogers with BBC World News, our top stories. Hello and welcome. So, France has, for the first time, launched airstrikes against so-called Islamic State fighters inside Syria. It joins the United States and a number of Arab nations who've been carrying out raids in Syria for more than a year now. The French government said the operation targeted training centres where militants were preparing for attacks. And the raid comes a day before President Hollande is due to make a keynote address at the UN General Assembly in New York, among many other world leaders who are there to talk about Syria. Well, let's speak to the BBC. I think it's safe to say that there is renewed urgency to tackle the source of the migrant and refugee crisis across Europe now by trying to bring peace to Syria. Voting is taking place in Catalonia in northern Spain in a high-stakes regional election. The flow of migrants and refugees into Europe continues across the Mediterranean, as shown in these latest pictures we've got. The founder of Facebook has announced plans to help bring the internet to UN refugee camps. Speaking at a UN forum in New York, the suicide attacker has targeted a playground in Afghanistan, killing at least 9 people and injuring dozens more. Now, the attack took place late in the afternoon in the Calcut district. In America, the Pope has met victims of historical sex abuse by Catholic priests and told them that those responsible for it would be held accountable. Pope Francis called for younger people to be better protected. Our religious affairs correspondent Caroline White reports now from Philadelphia, where the Pope is about to celebrate Mass for more than 1 million people. Let's bring you some other news from around the world in brief now, and there's been another twist in the scandal haunting German car maker Volkswagen. German media are reporting that a technician warned the company 4 years ago that illegal practices were being used to falsify diesel car emission tests. One paper says the company supplying the software had warned Volkswagen as early as 2007 that its use was illegal. Thousands of people have joined a protest in Mexico City to mark the first anniversary of the disappearance of 43 students whose abduction caused outrage across the country. The march was led by the victims' parents, who dispute the government's account that they were murdered by a drug gang in collusion with police. The American singer Chris Brown has been told he will not be given a visa to perform in Australia because of his record of domestic violence. The R&B star was due to go on tour in Australia in December. He has 28 days to appeal. You may remember that in 2009, Chris Brown pleaded guilty to assaulting his then-girlfriend, the pop star Rihanna. Do stay with us here at BBC World News. 11 tries for Australia in the Rugby World Cup. We'll have that and the rest of the world sport coming up. Hello, you're with BBC World News. I'm Chris Rogers. Let's bring you up to date with the latest headlines now. Campers in Australia have had a lucky escape as a sinkhole the size of a football pitch opened up, swallowing their vehicles and tents. Well, while they're looking down, many are looking up because sky watchers are in for a treat later as, weather permitting, the moon turns a rusty shade of red and looks much bigger than usual. As Daniel Bircher now explains, there's a total lunar eclipse at the same time as a so-called supermoon. The actor Michael Fassbender has starred in a diverse array of films, hasn't he, ranging from Hollywood blockbusters like X-Men, First Class, to more art house type movies like the gritty British drama Fish Tank. Well, he's already been tipped for Oscar success for his depiction of Steve Jobs in the film of the same name. The actor, who is of both Northern Irish and German descent, has been speaking to the BBC's Andrew Marr about his latest film, Macbeth, and why playing the famous Shakespearean character became easier when he thought of him as a warrior and soldier. That's dedication to the art for you, isn't it? Now, it was unusually quiet on the streets of central Paris today, Sunday. That's because cars were banned. Let's bring you some sport now. And at the Rugby World Cup, Australia have chalked up the biggest victory of the tournament so far, beating Uruguay by 65 points to 3 in Pool A. It comes after England's defeat to Wales in the same group. Paul Frostick reports. Well, Scotland were given a huge scare in the first half of their match in Pool B. It was against the USA, before eventually winning 39-16. Mercedes returned to the front of Formula One as Lewis Hamilton dominated the Japanese Grand Prix to put a stranglehold on the title race. His teammate Nico Rosberg fought up from fourth to finish second. The German dropped back after being forced wide by Hamilton as they disputed the lead in the first two corners. Nick Parris was watching. Now, the fear of spiders is very common around the world, but a man in the United States got more than he bargained for when he tried to kill one at a petrol station by burning it. Bad idea? Here's a member of staff explaining what happened next.
He didn't have a cigarette. He didn't have anything on him. So all of a sudden I looked out and I seen flames. There's some people that are scared of spiders, but...
Would you set it on fire?
No. He was sorry. He apologized. He was sorry he didn't know. And, you know, it's just one of them things that happen. Stupidity. That's all I would call it. Do you know gas go boom?
We have absolutely no idea about the fate of the spider. That remains unknown. Don't forget, you can keep up to date at bbc.com. You can get in touch with me on Twitter. @ChrisRogersBBC is the address.